This is Just Keep Breathing.
Have you heard this?
With your host, Richard Curtin on Rational Radio.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Just Keep Breathing right here on Rational Radio, rationalbroadcasting.com, and Ustream, and my dead mother, and whatever. You're listening to Just Keep Breathing. I am Richard Curtin, your host. My in-studio guest today, the one and only Get Equal Texas, don't tell me, North Texas Regional Director.
Yes.
I'm close.
You're very close.
North Texas
Regional coordinator.
Regional Coordinator. I knew director was wrong. Daniel Cates. How are you, Daniel?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me back.
You're wonderful.
Wonderful.
Well, that's nice, because the last time you were here, you were experiencing a lot of really, crazy bullshit in your life.
I was, and things have been just absolutely amazing.
Isn't that funny how the way life turns and keeps revolving, and so you never know what the sidewalk is going to do. It's going to veer off, and you're going to meet the man of your dreams.
Exactly.
Wonder where my sidewalk goes. I think mine is going to the sewer, and I'm going to meet the rat of my dreams. Hi, rat. I love rats, and I recently Cassie Nova celebrated her 10-year anniversary with her husband, and I got them a possum cake. An armadillo cake. And the armadillo cake looked like a sewer rat. Seriously. It really looked like a sewer rat.
I'm with Malin in Steel Magnolias. I don't even know how you begin to make gray icing, so...
Did you see the pictures of it on Facebook?
I'm sad to say I missed those.
It's pretty awful. It's pretty awful. It's really gray icing. It looked like a sewer rat. I don't know how they could call it an armadillo, but they did. Anyway, we have a lot to discuss.
Oh my God, we do.
There is so much stuff going on right now, and I for one, I'm going to start with the new, I think it's Washington Post poll that declared that 58% of Americans approve of gay marriage. That's up from 22% just 5 years ago.
It's really just been amazing, and I've been saying it for a while now, and I hear people all the time that say it's gonna take forever for places like Texas to legalize it, and I really don't believe that. I think that this is happening so much faster than anybody anticipated. I think we're seeing a complete reversal, and it's pretty amazing.
Why do you think we're seeing such a reversal?
I think that it's just, really 40 years of activism on our community's part. I think it's things like the President of the United States actually coming out and saying that this is a civil rights issue, and in support of. I think that it's been a number of things, and especially this tidal wave of activism that we've seen since Prop 8 passed in 2008. It's just, it's really been incredible how fast we've been able to change this country.
It is really pretty incredible. I'm really kind of astounded. I really am. I'm really kind of astounded. Let's talk a little bit about Prop 8. Let's start there.
Okay.
Because really what I do want to know, I'm not wearing glasses. What I do want to know is how much time, effort, and how crazy it is to pull off an event like you pulled off last Monday. So I do want to talk about that, but let's start with Supreme Court, and let's talk about specifically Prop 8. The Supreme Court is hearing Prop 8, also hearing case of DOMA. Prop 8. What do we expect with the Supreme Court ruling? What do you expect with it?
Well, I know what I would like. I would like for them to say that this state ban is unconstitutional, and I'd like to see them apply it to all 50 states, which would effectively reverse our ban here in Texas. I think the likely outcome is that they're going to find it unconstitutional and really just apply it to California. I think that's the most likely outcome. But really, right
See,
now,
I don't even think they're going to do that. I think they're going to really split it down the middle, and they're going to uphold Prop 8. After all, the state did vote, and so I really don't I don't even want to think negatively, because so much positive craziness has happened.
No, the truth is we don't really know how the court is going to rule on this.
Excuse me.
I've read articles from everywhere from they're going to uphold Prop 8 and DOMA to they're going to fully eradicate both and declare civil rights for LGBT people. Really, it could go any number of directions, and I tend to believe it's going to come out positive for our side. And that's really what I do believe. With the tidal wave of support that we've seen in the last few years, with the president and so many prominent people
Hillary.
standing on our side, Hillary, I think that these justices aren't stupid, and they can see the way the tide is turning and the way that
I think
history is
Antonin
unfolding.
Scalia is pretty ignorant.
Well,
I think that he's pretty close-minded to any kind of progress.
there was an article. He had said something about he was upset he was even having to listen to arguments about gay people all week. He was just
Gay this, gay that. And Daniel, when do we know something's true anymore? I read so much stuff on the internet, and half the time I'd never know when it's true. It took me forever to figure out that The Onion was not real. It wasn't long, because I'm not really that stupid. But there were a couple articles on The Onion that, when I was reading them, I was like, "Oh my God, oh my," and then I went, "Oh my God, this is The Onion," and so it was like, and then the more you read on with The Onion, the more you realize, oh my God, this is craziness.
Well, and what I always find funny is when they do some of these articles, and they've got me a few times too, is while what they're saying may be crazy, I honestly, given the way politics has been in the last few years, I kind of believe it.
I believe it, right.
Yeah.
And so has Scalia done all this crazy stuff that I've read about? I mean, did he really? I mean, I read that he resigned and then he stormed out, that, this country is going to hell and I'm moving to Canada. And that's when I went, oh, really?
I read
You're moving to Canada, who already has gay marriage rights and has health care. So you're going to move out of hell into deeper hell.
I actually read that he lives in a cave and eats children, but...
Well, okay, some things I believe are true.
Yeah.
And if he ate children, I'd have a little bit more respect for him, because I think he really only eats fast food. At least he was doing something organic, because I bet it's all processed for him. But he scares me. He scares me, and so how do we know what's true, what's not true anymore? I mean, because really, we can really just basically print anything we want, put it up on the internet, and sometimes people believe it's the truth. And just because it's on the internet, is it the truth? Absolutely not.
I think the truth has a lot to do with, at least what I do as an activist, and I think that really is our job, is to not really get too worried about who said what and what's going on, and just really worry about speaking the truth, speaking truth to power.
But you have to know what the truth is. You really do have to know what people are saying, like Anton Scalia. You have to know what Hillary Clinton's saying. You have to know what President Obama's saying. Mm-hmm. You have to know what Rick Perry's saying. You have to know what the enemy really is saying and what they are doing. I think that it's even more important for an activist to know what the opposite side is doing, so that you can guard the house, if you will.
And I think what I was talking about was more that we've been telling the truth about ourselves for 40 years now, and it has
Have
paid
we?
off. I think that, really starting with Stonewall is when we started to come out and tell the truth, and that truth telling has led us to this moment where we do have a majority of Americans on our side, and that's growing and growing. And I think that we just keep doing what we're doing, and eventually people like Scalia and others, just I think they're eventually not going to have a leg to stand on, and they're going to be in history's waste bin. I think so.
Yes, I believe you're right. I mean, I believe at some point the wave of progress is going to come in, and when it washes away, it's going to take people like Rick Perry and Scalia with them. However, coming up in the wings, we've got people that follow their rhetoric, if you will. So they're going to be here for a while. I saw a news article last night about a 12-year-old boy who protested out in front of a Protestant church or some church. It was a church because the church started marrying gay couples and was being gay inclusive, and he protested it, saying that you have to know the word of Jesus Christ, or you're going to hell. And and he's 12. Now, of course,
And he's one person, and
but that wave is still there, and it's still coming.
it is. Well, just
And
like today, we still have rabid racists running around. I don't think these people go away, but they grow fewer in number, and eventually people just look at them like garbage.
I think racism has grown.
I think that it's changed a little bit. It's not quite as in your face as it used to be, but I think that there's a lot of subtle racism out there.
And I think there's a lot of blatant racism, and I think a lot of people don't like Obama simply for the fact that he's black.
Oh, absolutely.
I think there's, and I think that we have gotten to a point where, I think that as white people in general, I'm going to just say white racist, are not afraid to be racist anymore. Where I think 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I think we were afraid to be called racist. And I'm going to just not say white people. I'm going to say in general, people are not afraid to say, I don't blah, blah, blah. And so if the outcome is, well, you're a racist, at some point, I don't think that is a term of fear anymore. Where 20 years ago, if you could make a point and the point was argued that you were just a racist, sometimes that won. I don't think that wins anymore.
Well, and I think a lot of it's interesting because you see people who are blatantly racist or blatantly homophobic, and they're given a platform by Fox News or whoever, and it gives validity to it. And so now there isn't that shame associated with it, I guess. You're showing people, well, you can be racist and still have it all. And I think that contributes to it a little bit.
Who's a racist that has it all?
I could actually even point to people in our own community, probably.
Yeah, let's do that. I'm playing. What do you think your greatest fault is?
My greatest fault?
Yes.
I've been accused of trying too hard sometimes.
Accused by yourself?
By myself.
Okay.
I'm one of those never say die type of individuals who, if I commit myself to something, I will work and work and work and work to make it happen or to make it work. And I have a hard time. It's my never say die type of attitude, and sometimes it gets me into trouble.
When you were putting together an event like last Monday's Get Equal Texas rally for marriage equality, how much work is it?
It's a lot of work. I think I might have
Because that
driven
was 2 months in the planning.
It was 2 months in the planning, and I think I may have driven my boyfriend and everyone around me a little crazy because I was just constantly glued to the computer, sending emails, talking to people, um, holding meetings, and then I actually wound up helping coordinate with some student activists in Fort Worth so that they could pull off a rally in Cowtown. And I'll tell you what, as soon as I was finished speaking on Monday night, it was a huge relief to know I've done. But
For that one.
for that one, yeah.
Yeah, that one is complete. So, I know you contacted me about 2 months prior. So, um, when do you start? What is the trigger for an event like that? And I know that the next trigger is the decision in June.
Um,
So, what happens between now and June?
between now and June, we actually
Dropped your phone.
between now and June, we actually will be doing a lot of promotion for Day of Decision, which is an interesting event in itself, in that we don't know what day it's going to happen on, and it's really hard to get people to commit to something like that. But we've done it in the past with quite a bit of success. Um, and I guess the trigger is, just you've constantly, as an activist, got to be looking to what's next. What do we need? Where do we need to go? With the Light the Way to Justice event last Monday, it was a call that was issued by David Mixner and Cleve Jones originally, and it was picked up by my organization Get Equal. And so, I was like, well, I'm in Dallas. I'm going to champion this. Let's get it going. And I think it was a total of about 3 months ago that we really got going on it. So, um, really, what's been helping in recent years has been this coordination nationally with activists. We have chat forums we talk on all the time.
Chat forums?
Okay.
Wow. I've never heard of a chat forum. Have you?
Okay, we have Google groups and different ways.
We have an audience today. I'm talking to the people in the audience. Hello, all you people. All 75 of you. Chat forums. That's kind of like, is that like an like a website?
We actually coordinate a lot of it through getequal.org, and we have emails and Google groups and all kinds of different ways that we communicate with activists from literally all over the country. And
Chat forum. I love that.
it's it actually winds up being kind of.
Can that be like Scruff?
I would actually really appreciate an activism app like that. I think that would be wonderful. But
Yeah, start it.
okay, yeah, I'll just do that.
Yeah, I'll just add that to the things that I'm doing. But seriously, I mean, that would be, Get Equal chat forum. App.
I will forward that on to our national people and see if they can make that happen. I think that would be really cool.
It would.
Um,
Then anybody that wants to get on and get connected to what is happening, maybe close to them or near them, or even someone who is, trapped in a rural area can actually get on and figure out what the discussions are
how they can get involved.
and how they can get involved or how they can send money.
And that definitely helps. Get Equal actually doesn't get the funding that a lot of organizations like Human Rights Campaign receive because we are much more grassroots. Yes, we'll have to discuss that.
Yeah, we're going to discuss Human Rights Campaign Fund, or the Human Rights Campaign.
I've been a little angry at them the last 2 days.
Oh, I think, I think that if you're not white, 35, making somewhere between 70 and 110 grand a year, and you're partnered with someone of your status, of your same color, and, maybe there's a token Asian boy in there somewhere, the Human Rights Campaign is not talking to you.
Absolutely.
And not fighting for you either. And they also know that you're just going to do nothing but create waves because you're not a have.
Exactly. And, there's a reason they are the most well-recognized gay rights organization, and that is because they have the most money. And I think that a lot of people in our community also make the mistake of thinking the Human Rights Campaign represent them. And the fact is that most gay people are not wealthy. Most gay people are not even white. Most gay people do not have the privilege that a lot of these people with Human Rights Campaign have, and they don't. They're not having their interests represented by this organization. And I think that was very evident at the Supreme Court. Actually, there was a rally outside the Supreme Court for 2 days. From what I heard, some estimates of 15,000 people gathered outside the Supreme Court, and the Human Rights Campaign made efforts to silence queer immigrant students and trans people at this rally, and I find it absolutely disgusting that they were wanting to separate themselves from those people so blatantly.
Well, I know some of those people. I I'm joking, of course. Those people are me. I am those people. I am what the Human Rights Campaign is also fighting for. But I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence about the Human Rights Campaign, where I understand what they're doing and how they're trying to do it.
And I will give them credit for doing a lot of good things. They have accomplished some good things.
Oh yeah, they've given a lot of straight people awards. Yeah,
Yeah.
they have, and I think that's important. I think everybody should get a Human Rights Campaign award.
Absolutely.
And for our straight friends that are our alliances, because those are important to give away.
I think that's actually going to encourage more allies to come to our side if they know they're going to get an award.
Well, and all joking aside, I think the work of the NFL boys they're doing their things and saying stuff like, gay rights is good, gay marriage is right. The NFL guy that just made a statement about, his children, and, he wants his children to grow up in a world where, whatever they are is going to be fair and equal upon the law. And, and so a lot of it is good. A lot of it is good. We have to have those straight people on our side in order to get anything to work and to get any progress made. And I think that's a lot of what's going on. And I'm going to give the Human Rights Campaign a lot of credit in the fact that they have been accolading the people who have been champions for us. But I don't think that they are always a champion for us.
Not for all of us.
I think that they're more of a champion for the people who are our alliances rather than the people that are doing a lot of the hard work within our community.
Right.
And I would like them to be a little bit more inclusive. And I agree with you. I don't think that we can forget about our trans people. And if we are all really honest about it, we are really all in it together. And we need our trans people, and we need our lesbians, and we need our gay men, and we need the whole gamut. I still am a little offended by the letter Q. LGBTQ. I mean, questioning. Screw you. Get out. I don't want those people. Red Rover, please send whoever's questioning right over. Well, why do you have to be included? Questioning? Come on. I mean, when are you going to end? When are you going to end? When are you going to add SF for a sheep fucker? Whoops. So at some point, I don't think we need the Q. I think we need the LGBTQ.
I justify use of the Q strictly for youth and for younger people who may be going through that time where they're not sure what they are, but are still getting some kind of backlash. People, I mean, I went through that myself when I was in high school, where I wasn't really sure what was going on, and so I was questioning. And I think that we do have to stand up for those people. I don't think Human Rights Campaign is standing up for those people. I think that's something that I actually said in a Facebook comment, I think the other day, where someone was telling me, well, you can't bash Human Rights Campaign because, yeah, this might have been slightly racist or transphobic, but think about the bigger picture and how we're going to win the war. And my thought on that was, if we gain our rights as lesbian and gay people, and we leave our trans brothers and sisters behind, and we leave our immigrant community behind, then we have lost.
Okay, I hear that. However, you always do have to send out a canary to find out if there's gas. And when there isn't gas, the canary comes back to bring the tribe. And so at some point, I also get where you go in with the big numbers, and then you drag the little numbers behind you. And so at some point, I do understand that progress is made in steps. And so probably the easiest people to get recognized as equal will be white, male, gay men, or white lesbians. And so, and this is the way the world is. For some reason, I think lesbianism tends to get recognized first, and gets, I think, accepted first because of just stigma and the way men, especially white men, tend to overlook lesbianism as real. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I think it's easier for us to make a commercial with lesbians than it is for two white men. Because for some reason, being gay for men is kind of afraid. People are more afraid of it, and they fear it more, and it tends to sissify men. You get it. You understand.
Yeah.
Where I think lesbian tends to empower women.
Right.
So I've gone off on this whole thing. So I mean, I kind of get taking one step forward and then reaching a hand to pull the rest behind. I tend to get it. I do. And so I think it's a little bit harder to get equality for all right out of the bat.
And and it's really kind of sad because right now I think that yes, the majority of Americans are in support of same-sex marriage, but they're in support of same-sex marriage for Cam and Mitchell on a Modern Family. I don't think that the story has really been told for our queer people of color, or for those of us who are not double income, no kids, where those of us who are, myself included, poor. I don't think that Americans are really getting that story. And we will get there. I think we will get there. But I think right now, especially because of organizations like the Human Rights Campaign and the messaging they've been putting out, I think that, America is thinking of white, upper middle class, gay and lesbian couples. And yes, we're all for that.
And is that really wrong?
I don't.
Is it bad?
It's not.
Is it really bad to, because at some point, what we do know and what we do follow are the celebrities. Mm-hmm. And what we do know are, people who make things happen are normally in the spotlight and rich.
That's true.
And so is it wrong for us to really do the same thing to get equal rights for all? Is send out your best looking, send out your most popular, send out your most non-threatening, to get the door open.
I would agree with that, but I think there's also merit to.
Someone came to your house and they were holding a gun and ripped up jeans and a tank top with bullets around their waist, and they were at your door knocking, and you look through the peephole and see that. Would you open?
I don't know, maybe.
But you get my point. Whereas, if there was a man standing there in a white shirt and tuxedo even, holding a chicken sandwich, you would
absolutely open.
You would probably open it for him.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my point. I mean, at some point, I think you send in the most non-threatening.
And I would agree with that, but I also agree that at some point you also rip the band-aid off because these people do exist, and I think the majority of the LGBT community is not having their story told
Well,
accurately.
let's go back in time in our own community. I remember 25 years ago when it was the Dallas Gay Alliance. And then it became the Dallas Gay and Lesbian Alliance. Then it became the Dallas Gay and Lesbian Bisexual Alliance, and then it became the Dallas Gay and Lesbian Bisexual Transgendered Alliance, which is just,
That is a mouthful.
absolutely. And at some point, when does it end? When does it end? When are we going to stop practicing labels and start practicing equality?
We're all people.
Equality, period.
Um,
And so why does everybody have to be included? Why
I actually, and I kind of get a little annoyed sometimes with the alphabet soup, is what I call it, the LGBTQI.
FSMNOP?
Exactly. It gets a little out of hand, and I actually like my best friend Angela, who you've met. She,
She looks good. She's lost like 700 pounds.
I know, it's ridiculous. Um, but what she said is she almost just wants to like combine it all into one letter and just call it the other community. Oh, it's everyone. And
But why do I have to be the other community? Why can't I just be, why can't we just be?
I think that the day is coming where we're all
I,
just going
I pay my taxes just like every other person does. And so, I do feel like I'm in another community. And you know what? I want to be. I don't feel like I was exiled to the gay community or exiled to Oak Lawn or, birds of a feather really do flock together. And I'll tell you, I prefer the company of gay men and lesbians. I do, and transgendered. I prefer the company of the other community.
exactly.
Um,
And that's what I mean by other, is that it's anyone who doesn't fall into the nuclear family ideal.
but there's a lot of gay community members that do.
And there are, and
I know several families. I mean, Angela is included. I mean, I think she's part of the other, but she's also part of the other community. So she kind of is in this, dual world, really. And so where does she fit?
She's really kind of got, I guess, kind of access to all kinds of things there, doesn't she?
Yeah.
It's just,
And so why do we have to make anyone fit anywhere?
and I think that's, I don't personally like labels. I'm just Daniel, and
I like some labels.
Mhm.
I do. I think they're important, and I know I'm being flip floppy, but I think we have to be proud of the labels that we really do wear.
Mhm.
I am a gay man, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Um, I think there are some labels that are not important, but to you and I personally, they may be important. They may not be important for this radio show, but they might be important for my night job. They might be important for my audition tape to RuPaul. I mean, at some point, I think labels really do define us because they are really what we are.
Mhm. Yes and no. I think, I don't know. I've just never liked being put in a box. You know, you can
Depends on
make-
what we're doing in that box.
But I think the day is coming when people are just going to be people.
I
think-
don't.
I think we're going to see it.
I don't. I think that we are always going to have some sort of line that we're going to have to wade in.
I think we're going to evolve past that. I really, really do. It may not happen in our lifetimes, but I think that we are going to evolve.
No, I think it will. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I see evolution happening so quickly. So what do you think is going to happen with the Supreme Court? Now we're going round circle. Let's make a prediction, and then we can come back to this one day, and we can sit here and we can really talk about it.
Gosh, okay. And what if I'm right?
Then I hope that you are right. If you know,
My prediction right now is that DOMA is going to go bye-bye.
I agree with
I
that.
think they're going to find it unconstitutional.
I do too.
And I think that both cases may not have a lot of direct, immediate impact here in Texas, per se, but I think that it is going to open a door for us. I think that we are going to receive heightened scrutiny and officially be able to really fight some of these anti-gay laws. I think it's going to be a game changer. So DOMA's going away. I believe they're going to find Prop 8 unconstitutional also. But my personal view is that they're probably just going to apply it to California.
Yeah. I believe that they're going to uphold Prop 8 because it was a state's right to choose. It was a state voting. The people went out and voted, and they voted against gay marriage.
And what's interesting is if they find Prop 8 unconstitutional in California, it was done by referendum, and I don't think that they could actually apply that to the states like Texas that are not referendum states. So, really at this point it's anybody's guess. I'm trying to remain positive and to really kind of put my trust that the Supreme Court's going to stand on the right side of history on this one.
I think that they have no choice, really. I really think that they have no choice. I think that when you really do look at what DOMA is, we have to even go further than that, and before that, you have to look at what marriage is. Is marriage a civil right?
I think as long as the government's involved in it, I think that absolutely.
If the government is involved somehow in marriage, then I believe that yes, it becomes a civil right. If it is only from the church, then it becomes something else. And what we do know is that you get marriage licenses from the state.
Absolutely.
What we do know is we get married in churches. Not all of us. But the marriage certificate comes from the state. And there's the deal with Prop 8.
But then we've also got the question of can a group of citizens get together and raise a bunch of money and put an initiative on a ballot to take away the civil rights of people in their state? Is that constitutional?
Right. Is it?
Well, I think that if they say that it is constitutional, what they're really opening themselves up to is, well, then any group of people can get together and raise a bunch of money and
start denying people.
Let's bring back segregation or slavery.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the state's right to choose, after all.
Yeah, after all. And so, and that's when it just becomes so logical.
Mm-hmm. And so that is the reason I believe they're going to find Prop 8 unconstitutional. It's because you are dealing with the civil rights of your fellow human beings, and I don't think that should ever be up for a popular vote. I think that if we left things like that up for a popular vote, I would not be surprised if we still had segregation in the South.
Why?
I wonder if we would have evolved.
Why just the South? I mean, at some point, there were other states that were, involved in segregation that were not just in the South. Mm-hmm. They were sort of Midwest, but still, it wasn't just the South.
But if we leave civil rights up to what a majority thinks, I think that that's a very dangerous path to go down. So I think that the Supreme Court is going to realize that and strike down Prop 8. At least I'm hoping so. I've got so many friends in California that are just ready to tie the knot. So
I just can't imagine it going any other way. And so when I see what in my head could be a split decision, with really kind of calling DOMA unconstitutional, but yet upholding Prop 8, I just don't know how. I just don't know how you can justify either side of that. Um, being in the middle, how you can justify calling one unconstitutional, but keeping the other. Just I just don't know how you're going to be able to do that. And will it just is that something? I just don't think the Supreme Court can ride the fence on it. And so I think they either need to go to greener pastures, which is um, doing away with DOMA and calling Prop 8 unconstitutional, or upholding it all. And if
Well, and you know, with the decision coming out in June, which is National Pride Month, if they uphold even Prop 8, they are going to turn California into World War Gay. I'm telling you now. We saw the protests that happened after it passed, and literally hundreds of thousands of people in the streets. I think they're actually going to unleash riots if they uphold it. Not that I advocate violence, but I really don't know that they'll be able to hold it back at that point.
I'm afraid of it. I really am. I am afraid of what's going to happen because I know how I will be.
And if Prop 8 is upheld, if DOMA is upheld, I don't know that I will be able to control crowds here in Dallas. Even I think it will spark national outrage.
Someone recently said to me, why is it not okay for you to have a civil union rather than why do you have to call it marriage? And the person that was asking me that was really just asking me that. She is married. She has 3 children. And you know, and I think that her question really was, I am really all for a civil union. I really want you to have your equal rights. But why do you have to call it a marriage and not a civil union? My answer to her was, don't you think that if we called it something different, that it would be treated that it would be treated differently, and eventually the ramifications of it will have different meanings. Just like, and I said, just like women's suffrage. What if we called it, instead of women having the same equal right to vote, we called it voicing your opinion?
Well, that sounds pleasant, doesn't it?
Doesn't that sound nice? It sounds good. It sounds almost the same. Or how about polling your opinion? Don't you think eventually it would really be broken up because it's called something else? The people who voted and the people who posted their opinion. Who do you think that they're going?
Exactly.
What's going to have more weight?
I think that we've proven time and time again in this country that separate is
Not equal.
And you can't have it both ways. And to me, honestly, the people who are against the use of the word marriage do so typically for a religious reason.
Yeah.
And the fact is, though, if you look at it, using your religious reason to restrict the word marriage is actually an affront to religious freedom. Because there are major denominations that marry gay and lesbian couples. There are major denominations that don't preach that it is wrong. And I think, what about their religious freedom? It's being encroached on by people who believe differently. And I think that, really just to level the playing field, we just have to say, look, everybody can get married, or in the exact opposite direction, everybody can get civil unioned. And if you want to get married, go to your church. That's between you and your preacher.
If it becomes a federal mandate, will churches have to marry people?
Absolutely not. We have religious freedom in this country, and a church can believe what they want, and I don't think any church would be required to perform those marriages. I think that.
What about their 501(c) status?
I think that you were just asking all the fun questions today.
Well, at some point, I think that's why we're talking about a lot of this, is that the people that have the most to lose are the people who not really run churches, but the people of the churches. They have the most to lose. Um, you know, it will turn them completely on their heads.
And you know, I
They will have to start doing it differently. They are really the ones most impacted by a decision to marry same-sex couples.
Well, and even just socially, I think that they're eventually, there is some truth to the fact that they're eventually going to be forced to perform these marriages, because try and find a church now, and well, I'm sure they exist, and I've actually read recently about churches that have done this, but it's very rare to find a church that would not marry an interracial couple. It would be completely unacceptable. And I think that eventually churches are going to get to that point.
And that wasn't very long ago that in fact probably less than 60 years really, the last state, maybe about 60 years, and that's not very long, where interracial marriage was illegal. So even in just that short period of time, I mean it seems kind of crazy.
It does,
And there are probably churches that still do it. Yeah.
And there was it might have been last year, I read an article about a church that did deny an interracial couple to get married in their church, and it just, the city looked like it was going to explode. It was some small town, and people were just outraged that this pastor would do that. And I think that, yes, eventually it is going to get like that with same-sex marriage. Churches are going to have no choice. They're either going to have to change or they're going to perish. I think that in order to stay alive, the church is going to have to change its views.
And I am sure that they're frightened. Because it will turn them up on their head. I mean, at some point, fundamentalist Christians really believe that gay marriage is the beginning of the end.
Well, and but it's been the beginning of the end on every major civil rights issue. At one point, the churches were totally in support of slavery. At one point, the churches were totally in support of denying women the right to vote and work. These are the same kinds of churches that throughout history have had some kind of problem.
Oh my God, women are going to wear pants!
And it's the end of civilization, and the world's going to come to an end.
It's the end of the world as we know it.
And this is just the same story being replayed all over again.
Yeah, it is. Okay, so what's the next step, Daniel Cates?
Well, here in Dallas, actually, the next step is DART, Dallas Area Rapid Transit. They
Oh, I thought it was something else. Dashing assholes rapidly through.
That's not far off either. But DART has again voted to postpone voting on adding domestic partner benefits for their employees. The Resource Center has been working really hard on getting this passed for a while now, and they just keep putting it off. And this time, they put off the vote because they want to wait and see how the Supreme Court rules on marriage. So we are actually asking the community to pack the DART boardroom on April 9th, which is Tuesday night, and
which is next Tuesday.
Yes, pack the boardroom, wear red, and we're gonna. The Resource Center is actually going to have speakers at every single board meeting between now and July, when they are supposed to bring up the issue again.
Okay, so next Tuesday, what time?
6:30 p.m. at
6:30 p.m.
DART boardroom on Ackridge Street in downtown Dallas.
At the convention center.
It's actually at Ackridge DART station. There's the entrance to their headquarters is right there, so it's convenient to get to. And we would like an ocean of red shirts to be filling up that boardroom.
Wow. How did red become the color of marriage equality?
I have no idea. That was actually the Human Rights Campaign that asked people to do that. And, I guess that in a sense, is a good thing that they've done, because, I mean, I can barely look at Facebook right now. It's just a sea of red. And I get angry. Because red makes you angry.
Yeah, and I actually, red is also the color of love, so it could fill you with amorous feelings if you weren't so eager to be angry.
And it is. Their little logo is red and pink, and it's very Valentine's Eve. But my thing is, we've been using white for years now as the color to represent marriage equality. There was the White Dot campaign, and it's just a little
White
odd.
ribbon, yeah, it
ribbon.
was. You're right.
I'm just wondering why suddenly it's red.
Do you have any feelings about the way people are how about creating their own red equal?
You know, I've seen some really great ones actually.
Me too. Dragon Lady did a really fun one.
Oh, there was the Paula Deen one.
Yes.
It Gets Butter.
Yes.
I loved that one.
There's also I saw one yesterday that people are in an uproar about the two corgis, and it was like, really, why? I think that if people are somehow using it and getting creative with it, I think that they're actually applying it to their own world, and the people that are in that same world may also be applying it and may also seeing it going, oh, well, Susie from Burlington, Vermont, who breeds corgis, and I love corgis, wants marriage equality. Maybe I should too, because I love corgis, and look how cute they are in this logo.
Oh, it totally.
So,
Well, and I think it's cool because it lets people personalize it a little
yeah,
bit.
absolutely.
What's what you're saying?
I was going to do 2 of the Edna Jean glasses in my equals.
I like it.
I just haven't had time.
One of the first ones I saw was Martha Stewart. It was a slice of red velvet cake.
A red velvet cake, yes.
And it just made me hungry. And for equality, of course. But
Martha Stewart, and so we've gone round circle, full circle, because really I think the majority of these people are straight. Martha Stewart, you know,
yeah,
how many queers love Martha Stewart?
I don't know. She kind of makes my teeth itch a little bit.
I love Martha Stewart.
Really?
I am all about Martha Stewart.
I will say she's got a really good apple pie recipe. I did try one time.
I think it's Martha Stewart's goal to make the place a more beautiful place. And so when you walk into it, your eyes are feasting on pleasantness and good things. And I really do think that that's her goal. I really do. I really think it is her goal.
She is actually very, very passionate about it, and I have tremendous respect for her. It's just something about her I can't watch.
It's a good thing.
Oh.
Speaking of good things, good work on the marriage equality rally last Monday night.
Thank you.
You got a lot of press, and you got a lot of people there, and I think it was what was really nice about it is so many of the speakers had something different. All of them had something different to bring to the table, to bring to the speeches, and I really liked that it wasn't a bunch of the same people saying marriage equality now, marriage equality forever. You know what I'm saying? There was a story for everyone, and everyone had their own story, and so I think that's you.
My goal was to just get everybody to get their fists in the air because it's just a nice photo op. And those pictures did come out great.
They did.
But it was also with my speech, I actually took an opportunity to individually call out each and every one of the justices and remind them that history is watching. And 50 years from now, what are the history books going to say about you? And just some really incredible speeches, yours included. Yours was fantastic.
Thank you.
I don't think there was a dry eye on the entire island.
Well, and I think what's different about my story is that I have evolved as well. You know, I'm no longer mad. I really am not. I'm not mad about it. I'm not angry, and I am hopeful, and I do look toward June to be even more hopeful and even more pleasantly surprised by how.
I don't want to have a protest in June. I want to have a huge party on that island.
Exactly.
I want to block the street with people just celebrating.
That are coming out to get married.
Exactly.
And in June, I'll tell you this, in June, if we get marriage equality rights, I will become a pastor to get married, to allow people to marry people.
That's amazing.
I've asked several people have asked me, and I said, I don't want to be affiliated with a church to do so. And so I don't want to be like this ordained minister to be able to do it even online. You have to. It's through a church.
Oh yeah, and it only takes 5 minutes.
It doesn't take long at all.
Ridiculous.
All you really need is a driver's license. But I don't want to be affiliated with a church. And so in June I will. If I can marry people by the power vested in me, then I will. You've been listening to Just Keep Breathing on Rational Radio. Ustream. We're here every Tuesday, every Friday. I have been really bad about having shows just because I've been so crazy off the wall. I'm glad to be back. Tuesdays, Fridays, 3 to 4 p.m. right here on Rational Broadcasting. Daniel Cates, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
We're watching.
We are.
Keep watching. And you can find Daniel on Daniel Get Equal Cates on Facebook if you want to get involved with Get Equal Texas.
Or you can go to www.getequaltx.org.
Thank you for tuning in. Have a great afternoon. Bye. Crazy off the wall. I'll be back Tuesdays and Fridays, 3 to 4 p.m. right here on Rational Broadcasting. I haven't had a show in like 4 weeks. I've had a show in 4 weeks, but I've one. Keep watching, and you can find Daniel on Daniel Get Equal. What's funny? On Facebook, if you want to get involved with Getting